In my view, there's two types of people in the world. This is my primary distinction that I make in my mind whenever I'm talking to somebody. There's somebody who's always gonna get the result, and so it means that whatever you put your mind to, you're just gonna get the result. And there's people who tend to always have excuses and can't seem to get the result. Now, the number one quality that I would attribute this to is the ability for creative thinking, the ability to think laterally, and the ability to think outside the box. And here's why I think this is so important. I can sit here video after video and in different courses that I do, and I can show you templates about how to make way more money. And I've got a lot of great courses on this. And I can show you templates and even real examples of how to meet people, how to socialize, how to get amazing results. I can show you templates on how to meditate or raise your vibe. I can show you step-by-step processes on how to build the exact life that you want. But the challenge is, no matter how many videos that I put out and how much time you put into watching them, there's always going to be something that moves off of the template. There's going to be some little real-life example that's not perfect to the exact thing. And this is where the people that are less competent and tend to have excuses get stuck, because as soon as they're not being told what to do by some authority, they don't have that ability to think outside the box. They get stuck and they wind up quitting and always having some kind of an excuse. So what I'm going to be teaching you in this video is how to think laterally, how to think outside the box, how to think creatively. And if you think that you're going to get to a multi-million-dollar business or incredible social results or building the exact life that you want without this skill, you are in for a huge, huge disappointment. And that's why this video is meant to wake you up and show you those exact skills. Because what I can do is by showing you this, I can begin to show you, like if I've shown you all this, I can begin to show you all that connective tissue and make sure that you get the result that you want. What is your will? What is your discernment? What is your independent access to flow? What happens is that if this goes in a flywheel where you're connected to what you truly want, then you're connected to true discernment, and then you're connected to flow state independently, what's gonna happen? This is very advanced, but if you can get it, it'll change your life. Now, in this video, what I'm gonna suggest is that a major reason why you can't think laterally is because you're asleep. And I'm gonna talk in great, great detail about the mass slumber that almost everybody's in. I promise you that you're dealing with this, we all are. And so another solution to this lateral thinking is just generally waking up. And if you actually apply the process and the knowledge that I'm going to show you in this video about how to wake up, the ability to think creatively, the ability to make more money, the ability to have more social success, the ability to be happier, the ability to wake up is going to be right in the palm of your hands. If you actually use what it is that I'm showing you here, your life is going to change dramatically. Now, if you also would like to have your life change dramatically, what I'd recommend that you do is come to an event like this as a gift from me to you completely for free. And you can imagine what it would be like, not just to watch this clip, which is amazing, it's going to be about an hour, but also to sit in the audience, to meet me personally, to shake my hand, to ask me your personal questions, to meet other people in the room that are motivated and inspired and get a network. Also, there's a very, very specific transformational process that I take you through at these events. And if you actually come to the event and do it, it's going to change your life. So if you'd like to actually come, I'm literally tomorrow morning flying right to Chicago. I'm going to be doing an event in Chicago. Then I'm going to be hitting Dallas, Houston, Austin, Boston, Washington, D.C., San Diego, Los Angeles, Miami. I'm going to do all over every little city in Florida, this huge Florida tour. I'm going to do New York, Philadelphia, Seattle, Honolulu. I've got my team doing Europe. I've got my team doing cities all over the world. Those events are amazing. I have a huge involvement in them. I sometimes even just jump on over video all over the world. So wherever it is that you are, click the link now. My urgency to you is to actually jump on this right now while it's hot in your mind and get signed up. I actually sent some very cool bonuses immediately. And what's going to happen is you'll have done something beautiful for yourself in attending a beautiful, beautiful live event that's going to blow your mind. Probably the coolest thing that you're going to do this year, because we make these intense and insane. Now, if you're frustrated because you can't somehow use lateral thinking to make it to one of these events, even though I really hope that you'll be able to after this video, I also want to provide something to you if you're frustrated that you can't make it to a live event, even though you should just make it there and find a way. Okay, and that's what this video is meant to show you. So what I've done is I've created a mini course of the most important lessons that I don't reveal in these videos from these free events. And it's step-by-step, extremely comprehensive, and very, very well organized. And the kind of thing that if you're serious, like if you care about your results and you want to make a major, major shift, then click the link below for the free mini course. And in a couple hours, I take you through the hardest hitting epiphanies in a sequenced, step-by-step, organized manner that is going to change your life. It's also a lot of fun. I'm focused and organized in it, but I'm also bringing a lot of energy, and it's going to light your day on fire, okay, in the best way possible. So click the link below to come to the free event and also to grab the free course. I'm very, very excited to have you jump in there and change your life. And in the meantime, we're going to be shooting into a video on lateral thinking, creativity, how to think outside the box, and how to get all those little connective tissue processes from point A to point B. Whenever something goes off the template, you can think for yourself, this is how real millionaires are made, how real billionaires are made. It's something that is natural as you begin to wake up, and it's something that is natural as you begin to make this a priority. Give me an hour of your life. We're going to change your life right now. Let's go. Imagine somebody's in hell. And what does hell look like? Let's imagine this, right? You know, they're sitting there in hell, right? And they're like, this person said this about me, and that person's trying to get me, and I'm mad about this, and that other problem, right? That is hell. That is hell. That is hell. So how do you start to dig your way out of hell? Because that's hell. So, really imagine this. Imagine hell. What does that look like? It's a contraction. You're in pain. You're in a state of threat. People are against you. You're small. It's not collaborative. It's you against them. You're mad about different things. You're scared about different things. You're depressed about different things. That is you in hell. What does heaven look like? Collaborative, easy, abundant resources, ease. Things aren't so difficult. Tapped into the source. Togetherness, expansion, creativity, lightness, playfulness. One is very, very serious. The other is light and fun and expansive. So understand that heaven and hell, you may conceptualize that as a dimension after your soul leaves your body. But make no mistake, heaven or hell is also now. Heaven or hell is now. You might even believe that whatever you resonate with now while in your body, that's your decision for after you die. If you knew right now that you were actively, just a thought experiment, I'm just making a thought experiment, just a thought experiment. If you knew now that where you were in your body now was an active decision that you're making for after you die, then what would you do right now with those decisions? So the greatest word in all personal growth, in my opinion, is called what else? Say that word, what else? What else? So what it is that we have something called misweighting bias. Say misweighting bias. Misweighting bias. Okay, so misweighting bias is the idea that, oh, my aunt said this about me. You are being robbed. Okay, the robbery when you're sitting there worrying about what your aunt said about you is a lot more severe than you actually realize. It is a lot worse than you know. So what I'm saying, your aunt is yelling at you, and it is a robbery worse than you know. Why do I say that? Why?
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost. Say that word.
Opportunity cost.
Okay, but it's also, say the word compounding interest.
Compounding interest.
So, they'll say that, you save $1 now, it's worth $6 later. When you complain about your aunt now, it's moving you back by 5 minutes now. But it might be moving you back by a year over your lifetime. Now, when you hear that, you're like, that's too extreme. You couldn't tell me that complaining about my aunt now is moving me back by a year. But I'm saying that within the context of look at the people that are living the best lives. The people that are really crushing it. They're not just 20% better than average, right? They are millions of times better. So you've got to look at your time with that degree of value. So basically, anytime that you're burning on whatever it is that's not actually moving you towards one of the following things, it's killing you. One of them could be your personal growth. Another could be your education. Another could be you adding value to the world. Another could be you laughing. Another could be you enjoying life. So you either want to be enjoying your life at a high level, like I'm really enjoying life. Like this is living. You want to be in that state. Or you want to be in a state where you're cracking up and just laughing. Understand, that is money. Laughing is money. Say that with me.
Laughing is money.
Enjoyment is money.
Enjoyment is money.
Momentum is money.
Momentum is money.
So get in your mind that the numbers in a bank account, remember, however much fiat currency you have, or even whatever investments that you have in this house of cards modern world that could tip at any point, a lot of people try to tip it, That's not just the win. It's also the extent to which you could enjoy things now. What if modern society came crashing down right now and we just didn't have the scale that we have to build a lot of wealth? Let's just say that were to happen, right? Well, then what would the payment be? It'd be you spending time with your loved ones, your family, your friends, going on little adventures in nature, laughing with your friends, just like the good old days, like the stuff that actually matters, right, that we forget about. So it'd be more of things like that, right? Ray Dalio, he has a book called The Coming World Order, which is basically his soft version of prepping you for all the crap that may be about to come up. Like, you know, when someone is level-headed as Ray Dalio, is like, we could be heading for civil war, or, you know, there could be a collapse, or things like that. Like, this isn't like some wacky guy, like in a Lotus shirt and a big beard, like, like, you know, me. That's not just that. Like, it's a level-headed person who has every reason not to be saying things like that. He's getting old. He knows he's towards the end, and he's extremely level-headed and center-oriented, and he's just like, well, guys, I'm Ray Dalio, and here's my principles, and here's my book, my new book called The Coming World Order, right? Funny that I use the word world order. And about this new world order, I'm just letting you know that it may be the case. There could be, you know, a little civil war, and, these things happen in history, and if they do, most of you won't die, so don't worry about it. You'll be quite poor, but, we've seen historically that it gets you back to what matters in life. Gets you to appreciate more of the time with your kids, gets you to appreciate more time with your friends and family, and, there's also, probably the money's going to all go to China, because frankly, all you Americans are kind of a bunch of dummies and kind of watch too much TikTok, and you're too spoiled, and you're probably so concerned about social issues that you're going to allow this other country to overtake you. And, they say, strong people make good times, and good times make weak people, and weak people make bad times, and we're kind of entering the bad times, and you're all a bunch of punks, but I'm going to be dead, and, I'm out of here, so here's my book, and enjoy time with your family, suckers, but peace, right? And that's Ray Dalio, like this level-headed, non-political. He's not a political zealot. He's not a person of extreme views. He's like the most rational center person who's mega rich, and he got mega rich basically by studying history, studying historic patterns. That doesn't, by the way, he will even be the first one to tell you, that doesn't mean that's guaranteed to happen. We could be here 50 years from now, 100 years from now, doing just fine. We could be doing absolutely fine. That could actually happen. We could be doing absolutely fine, and that may happen. So, what are you going to do? How do you confront that? You basically just say, well, I'll contribute positively to whatever extent that I can towards not letting those things happen. But at the same time, I've got to also enjoy life now, right? You don't want to be aware of those things, say, oh, I'm not going to build a business, or I'm not going to build skills just because you read, a Ray Dalio book or something. That's your excuse to be a lazy schlep. And likewise, what is the best way that you could actually contribute to building the world to be better? Is it that you're going to become some superpower activist tomorrow and change the world? I've done free work pro bono with activists, and I can tell you, because most of them don't run businesses, most of them are too incompetent to actually change anything. It's very, very sad. That's the majority of what I saw. Very inefficient. The money they gather often doesn't go to the right place. I'm not saying that about all activist crew. That's a broad brush. It's definitely not the case, but a lot of it would happen. Even the ones that are killing it would tell you that. So what's one of the best ways that you can actually contribute to not letting some of the Ray Dalio-esque coming world order situations happen? How can you play a role as a leader in not letting that happen? Build your business now. Build social skills now. Small things. That's how you start. You don't just go right to the top, right? You build, so say the word, make myself strong first.
Make myself strong first.
Say that again.
Make myself strong first.
Again.
Make myself strong first.
Yeah, that's really how you get there, right? Somebody like Ray Dalio has respect because he built something for himself first. So you can be aware of what's coming, but the extent that you make yourself strong first, that's when you can have an impact on these kind of things. So one of the last skills that I'm going to be teaching you this evening, and then we'll go out, is the idea that lateral thinking is such a powerful, powerful tool. And in socializing, when you're out there, lateral thinking is really everything. But that is actually a teaching and jump-off point to lateral thinking that can help you maybe when you hit into your 50s and 60s and 70s. Maybe you're a leader in politics. Maybe you're a leader in global affairs or whatever that is. This can prepare you for that now. So lateral thinking, this is absolutely massive. What does that mean, lateral thinking? Can anybody take a couple shots at it?
It's like finding novel uses for, just like thinking creatively, like finding novel uses with the tools you're given.
Yeah, so taking the tools that you're given and using them at a higher level, scaling them, thinking of unconventional uses, thinking of asymmetries that you can find to get things better for you. Yeah. Anybody else want to take a crack at lateral thinking? Yep.
It's like finding things that are initially unrelated, but you find how they're related.
Yeah, that could be another big one too. So understand that when you go out and you're struggling, say to talk and talk, that is a function of a couple different errors. One of them could be you don't have high self-confidence in yourself to believe that what you say has value. That's like a really, really big one if I'm being honest with you. Like, you're just like, well, what I say doesn't have any value, so what am I going to say? It's not good enough. That's one. Another one is that you don't know how to tickle yourself. Like, that's a really big thing in social skills, just learning how to tickle yourself, right? That's a funny expression for self-amusement rather than seeking a reaction. But another one is you're just not thinking laterally. So the way that we tend to learn to think is that at a young age, we have this ridiculous lateral thinking. There's a great quote. I'll get it out. It's Timothy S. Grover. He had it in his summary of the book Winning. He says, the greats don't need to be told what to do during dynamic game situations because they have gotten elite coaching and practice with their coaches over and over, leading into this. Babies get up, fall down. This is kids, right? Like, say my kids when you met them the other day. Babies get up, fall down, laugh and cry, do it over and over. At no point do they say, I'm done with this. They do what feels right. They don't care what you think. If they don't like what you feed them, they spit it out. And then here's the big one. They'll sing and dance for no reason, draw crazy scribble pictures, and dress in whatever feels right. 1 purple boot, 1 orange sneaker, fairy wings and a hard hat, 4 t-shirts, and singing happy birthday to everyone on the streets. So, until adults get involved, say you can't wear that, you look crazy, get in the house, change your clothes, it's nobody's birthday, why are you singing? And no matter how confident those kids are, eventually somebody shames that out of them. Or somebody believes they're not good enough in some way. Very few kids have the ability to ignore that, and it tends to stick with them in older life. Everyone who's succeeded as adults has had the confidence to look a bit crazy when everybody else sees it and tells them to stop. It's lonely. You can't break truly confident people because they've been broken over and over and learning for themselves how to be confident and how powerful they really are. Okay, so when you've been knocked down again and again, confidence gives you the patience to stay down for a minute, assess what happened, and get up stronger. So it's this idea of, when you're out, now I gave even a bit broader range of notes there than I was just referring to in this point. The main point being with the purple boot, the hard hat, the fairy wings, singing happy birthday, that's really what it's about when you go out there, right? It's about lateral thinking. It's what does it actually demonstrate about you when you're being social? What attractive qualities does that demonstrate about you when you're being social, when you have the ability to free associate? It is so huge. Why is free association so utterly massive in social skills and in showing high value and showing attractive traits? Yep.
You need to free up mental bandwidth so you're not constantly judging yourself.
Yep, it proves you're not judging yourself. It proves that you freed up a lot of mental bandwidth. What else does it say about you when you have that ability to free associate? I mean, it's the ultimate demonstration of your genetic quality.
Most of the time people accept you.
Yeah, it shows that most of the time people accept you. Massive. What else?
You know how to have fun.
You know how to have fun, which means that you're probably in a good headspace in life. What else? Well, the big one is it shows how you'd handle problems in life. It shows how you would approach problems in life. Imagine if you're in the jungle, you're having to kill animals, right? You've got animals coming at you, you've got to kill animals. How are you reacting to dynamic situations? How are you reacting to danger? How are you handling it with when the animal comes and then turns this way or turns this way? How switched on are you? How awake are you? And it's crazy to think that we evolved from that degree of excellence. And yet when you walk down the street, the average person barely knows what day it is. They barely know what planet they're on. It's very, very sad the extent to which we've been dumbed down. So working on lateral thinking, working on creativity, and saying what else, that main question is everything, because that is the core of lateral thinking. Say that word again, what else?
What else?
Okay, so that's what I want to kind of hammer in with you here, is this idea of lateral thinking. So base level logical thinking is like point A to point B to point C, boom, 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 like that. Lateral thinking is more like this. It's more like all over the place, right? So the ultimate area that your brain gets a workout, it gets a mandatory workout, not even whether you like it or not, every day of your life. Where would that be? Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen every day. Sleeping. Have you ever noticed what your brain is able to produce while you're sleeping? Look at the dreams that you're producing while you're sleeping. What are you noticing? Random. How creative are your dreams? So why can't you access that in the day when you have that capacity when you're not even trying? Can anyone guess?
Social
You're
pressure.
filtering everything.
Yeah, you're filtering, right? You're clamped down. It's exactly what Timothy S. Grover said. It's been shamed out of you. You have access to that dreamlike light level state. So when you see me do free associative speaking, when you see me hitting the club, when you see me doing creative things in the company, all this different stuff, when you see me creating an entire industry, how do I do that? It is a huge, huge amount of lateral thinking. So that's what I'm trying to hammer into you today. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to just recognize this and see it as a priority now. And what are some things financially that high degrees of lateral thinking can do for you, just financially? What do you think? It's very obvious. So please, God, tell me somebody here is going to get it.
High-level CEO stuff, like managing big companies.
High-level CEO, but go even past that.
Just like good business ideas, like what people need.
I mean, think about it, right? Are you going to make money reinventing Tylenol? You're going to make money reinventing a crane? You're going to make money reinventing a phone? Maybe some completely new one. It's called disruptive, right? So it's called a disruptive technology. Say that.
Disruptive technology.
So how do you create a disruptive technology, right? So a big thing, for example, what I did was I saw there was this really big lane in social skills. I understood that there was a huge piece missing there. My brain could immediately see it. I immediately hooked up with other people who saw it, and we got to the business of creating disruptive technology. And it's had much wider reach than you would even imagine. Okay, it's pretty insane the reach that it's had. It's not apparent. It's not immediately understandable now. History will show what it is. So that being the case, how do you create a disruptive technology? How do you think of something outside the box? So part of it is lateral thinking. It's the ability. It basically what it is. Your mind has to shoot off in a million directions at once and consider a million different possibilities, and it needs to think in a very abstract manner and think, how would it wind up this. But then from there, all the this. What if we did a bit of this, and then this, but then not this. So you've got to be able to loop through these things quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Wake up! Let's go! That's got to be your mindset. Hey, let's go! Come on! Wake up! Okay, that's got to be your mode. Quick, let's go. Snap into it. Wake up. Okay, that's got to be your mode. Okay, now everything that you're going to be encountering, your day-to-day boring job, day-to-day boring commute, the stupid things that you're going to have put in front of your face in your feed, the stupid food that you'll have put in front of your face, the drugs, the booze, that's all getting you away from that. It's numbing that, it's medicating that, it's taking you away from that. And your birthright is that ability for creative thinking. You know it because you dream it 7 days a week. You could take a 20-minute nap now, in the closet, come back, tell me what you dreamed, and it's probably something resembling the kid with the hard hat, the fairy wings, the boots, singing happy birthday. It's something like that. So you know that you have this skill. You know that you have this skill. It's there. You already know that you have it. Okay, that's lateral thinking. So you want to exercise this skill of saying, what else? Now let's look at this in a couple of different areas. One is looking at how you're burning down your time. That is a failure of lateral thinking, the things that you're wasting your time on. Understand that something like pop culture is an addictive drug. It's no different than crack cocaine. It's the same thing. It's not going to hurt you as bad, but it's the same kind of idea. What is the idea of even drugs? What is the actual idea of drugs? What is drugs actually? Like say that you blast down some heroin right now. What is that?
Feel good now. It's just artificially triggering chemicals in your brain.
It's basically this thing. It gives you a bunch of chemicals in the brain. It's this thing that wastes your time. That's what it is. It's just a time waste. It's this thing that wastes your time. It's not just the damage that you're doing to yourself on the heroin. It is the fact that then you have several hours that you're not productive, then you're tired and then thinking and looping on getting more heroin, and your life's getting worse. Part of the addiction to heroin is that as you're becoming a junkie, your life is getting worse during that time. So even if you're to sober up and stop doing heroin, what are you even coming back to? You're coming back to a mess. It's hard enough to face your life now when you're not on heroin. Imagine you come back, your face is like all gaunt and messed up, and you look weird, and you're twitching, and you don't have a job. Everybody hates you. You've done all these bad things that could cause other problems. Your immune system's messed up. At that point, why not just go back to using? That's how you might feel. You see how it's getting you there? So it's burning down your time. Now, there's another thing that heroin is doing too. Okay, so I'm not going to adequately explain this to the point that I would have this kind of register full in your head. I have other content about it, but I'll gloss over it. I want you to imagine that you're here. This is the real you. And you can kind of thread your core essence into being the witnessing consciousness, as they'd explained in Eastern philosophy, and you can thread your core essence into love and joy for the process itself, for the outflow of emotion. You're threading it into that. And you're intimate with that. It's actually an erotic relationship. Like, you know when you're intimate with somebody, physically intimate, what does it mean to be erotic? What does it mean to be intimate, right? There's touching going on. You're inside each other. Your tongue, your whatever, you know, you're in each other. There's fluid exchange. There's sound exchange, smell exchange. You're thinking about them. They're thinking about you. This looping in, out, in. It's like, that's how I sound, okay? So, okay, but that's really what you're doing. You're already doing that with pop culture. You're like, oh, Kim Kardashian, really? Oh, yeah, what, huh? Oh, now let's look at internet. Oh, YouTube, oh, yeah, what's this? Yeah. Now heroin is even worse, right? You're like in it, and it's like, oh, it like grabs you. Oh, pleasure. Oh, body buzz. I feel so good. Oh, I'm in heaven. Right? You're basically in like this erotic relationship with the heroin, right? It's erotic. It's intimate. And so when you're doing that, what happens is anytime that the physical world is too good, then what is that doing to you? What do you think?
It's dissociating you. It's like numbing you.
It's taking you away from the erotic connection, that intimate connection to the process itself. It's taking you away. What if it's feeding your ego? What if you're getting what you want in your ego? What's it doing?
What's even worse, it's leading you up to a big collapse at some point in the future where that...
Mega collapse.
Yeah.
Why is it that if you're feeding the ego specifically, eventually it has to collapse? Laws of nature, laws of physics, what's it going to do?
It's creating a structure that can't support itself. It's based on an illusion. So
There's nothing that is forever. What goes up must come down. It has to. Inevitably it has to, right? So you're not connecting yourself to the infinite. You're not connecting yourself to God. You're not connecting yourself to your creator. You're not connecting yourself to the energy of life. You're connecting yourself to something that must go down. Now, by the way, counter-argument. Okay, so what is a way that this could get misinterpreted, and what would be an argument for ego being good? There's great arguments for it.
It could be a motivator.
Imagine could be a motivator. Yes, what are some other counter-arguments? Again, lateral thinking, come on, let's go.
You meet your selfish goals with it.
Yeah, it can motivate you to meet your goals. Yeah, what else? Come on, lateral thinking, let's go. Don't be passive. Don't be a derper. Throw something out there. Take a risk. Have me say that your answer sucks. Take a risk. You should take a risk. You should take a risk. You should. Throw some answers out. Come on, let's go.
Makes you concerned about yourself so that you put yourself first.
Yeah, you don't just sit there lazy derper. What else? Come on. Every one of you should take a risk.
In order to understand the importance of like losing your ego, you have to fail. You have to fail first and like have your ego get hurt first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could actually gain the reference with your ego of seeing how it can also mess you up. What else? Take a risk.
You become self-absorbed and you're caught in the tunnel vision, so to speak. So the self-absorption is sort of like, it gives you a sort of a shield of invincibility where till you conquer, you're not gonna rest.
Yeah, so it could be a great initial jump off point. Could be a jump off point. What are some other ones? Come on.
When you understand that like nothing's like permanent, it's just like, why do anything?
Yeah. So what he's saying, very, very powerful counterpoint. This idea of spirituality, right? What it can do is it becomes an excuse for lazy, complete losers to be like, well, why would I do anything then? Why would I do anything? All are one, right? And I'll tell you why I had a lot of friends like that over the years, and I actually consider what they had to say, because I consider nothing's off limits for me. I'll think what everybody has to say. Those people are the same people that you can't leave your wallet on the table. Okay? Can you leave your wallet on the table if Elon Musk's in the room? You could probably leave your wallet on the table, right? You get in front of it. Most spiritual people, hide your wallet, baby. Most spiritual people, you better hide your wallet. Why is that? Why you gotta hide your wallet in front of spiritual people? Same reason you gotta hide your girlfriend in front of somebody who criticizes learning social skills. I mean, think about it. Any of your friends that are like, what? You're learning social skills? Oh my God, social skills. You can't learn that, you're bad. Okay, those are the same people that are gonna creep on your girlfriend. You have to hide your girlfriend, not because they'll be effective, they'll never get her. You have to hide your girlfriend because they're gonna go creep her out and make a big uncomfortable situation for everybody. You know you can't leave your girlfriend near somebody who says learning social skills is bad, because what are they gonna do?
Creepy.
They're gonna creep on your girlfriend because they have suppressed a part of themselves. If you're like, no, don't meet anyone, don't meet anyone, don't meet it, what's that do? What do we know about weird kinky fetishes? Don't meet anyone. It's bad. Yeah, tell me I'm bad. Ooh, yeah. I'm bad, right? You know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with spiritual people around money, right? They're like, money's wrong. Ooh, don't make money. It's wrong, right? You leave your wallet on the table, they're just like, they're like, should I? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, we're all one. What does it matter if I take the wallet, right? Yeah, they've suppressed it. They don't have a healthy relationship to money. It's ultra suppressed. Many people in the spiritual community have horrible poverty consciousness, horrible ability to receive, and that will be stuffed down in their biology to the point that it pops out, right? Like, it's probably not the best idea to send your daughter to like some school that's like, sex is wrong. Sex is wrong. Sex is bad. Sex is bad. It's bad. What's going to happen the second she turns 20? You don't even want to know. Okay, because I do know, and you don't want to know. Okay, because I do know, and you don't want to know. So yeah, no, you don't want to be like it's bad. Tell me how bad. Ooh, it's bad. Okay, you don't want to do that. You don't want to start fetishizing. You don't want to like basic bodily needs like, you know, having an ego or having desire for money or having a desire for intimacy or things like that. You don't want to just stuff all that down and get to the point where you're not connected to it. That's ultra unhealthy, and that's going to come out either way. Like, that will come out either way. The biggest scamsters that I met in my life are typically people that are way too far into spiritual stuff, and it's likewise people that express just pure positivity, ever only positive, right? And those are the people, like, they're carrying major resentment, like the same, they're like, just be positive. yeah, right, because it's ultra stuffed. That's why we teach releasing. That's why we teach, you know, things like transformation mastery and release work and things like that. We specifically do that because we want people to actually own their shadow, connect to their shadow, be able to release, have a healthy relationship to these different things so they don't dominate you. Great way, by the way, to handle all your dark sides is to make jokes about it, right? It's like you could joke about you being a little creeper. You could joke about, you can make fun of things that you should never do, but again, evil energy that runs people, it hates humor because what the evil energy that runs some people wants is for you not to be allowed to joke about crazy, silly things because then you can never release it and then it will take you over. You see what I'm saying? Like, say you made some joke where you're like, you know, I just feel like blowing my brains out, right? As a joke. Like, they can get mad at that. It's actually other types of jokes they get mad at, but I'm just not even gonna get into that. But my point being is they'll get mad at you telling that joke because they don't want you to release the tension. They want that tension to stay there, to fester, and then for like, you yourself probably wouldn't act on it, but like one person out of 10,000 will act on it, or one person out of 1 million will act on it. When you have 300 million plus people in a country, all that it takes is 1 in a million to act on it, and then they get all their negative incidents that they need for what the narrative they're trying to project. So that's why they don't like humor. They don't want you to joke about weird, like, creepy desires that you have. And like, you know, like I like to think of like some creepy thing that I have in me and then make fun of it. And then by making fun of it, then it's gone. I don't have it anymore. It just goes away. It falls off like a scab. Like if you have some creepy desire, like you say you want to steal something, be like, sometimes I just feel like seeing that and I just want to take it. I just want to take it and put it in my face. You know what I mean, right? And then you say that and then you don't care anymore.
That's why free speech is so important.
That's why free speech is so important.
And people tell you,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's stupid."
Yeah, it lets you joke about things, but they try to take that and they're like, look what he said. He said he wanted to put in his face. Look at this person. Look at them, and say that you've had a history of telling jokes, and they chop that up and then make it look like that's who you are. So it's one of these things where that's another way of releasing it. Now, so let's come back to it. So there's a word called spiritual bypassing. Say that after me. Spiritual bypassing is the idea that you get to get let off of why you came here to the earth because you're spiritual. That creates very, very deep shadows. It creates major, major incongruencies. It creates a lot of stuffing. It just creates super weirdness. You don't want to go down there. So you want to be spiritually awake while not having to stuff basic needs that you have that are perfectly healthy, that people will shame you for. What is one of the greatest things that turns people off of spirituality? They've seen that a lot of people use it to shame you. One of the great way to frame control somebody is shame, right? Shame. So they'll take sections out of the Bible, for example, where the main message in the Bible is not to use what's called performative spirituality. Like Jesus' entire main reformation in the Bible, my interpretation of it, would be that he said, you don't just get to act like you're connected to God. In fact, if you just do so as a virtue signal, you're just going through the motions performatively, doing performative spirituality, you're going to go to hell. And you're especially going to go to hell because you're not only blocking yourself from God, you're actually blocking other people from God, right? So, you'll see people like in, say, the comments on some of my videos. I don't know, say I'm kicking it with my girlfriend. She's in like a bikini or something. They're like, the Bible wouldn't like that. The girl's in a bathing suit. A bathing suit. How could you put her in a bathing suit? How could you put her in a bathing suit? Oh! Because that's their one moment to frame control you. Someone who is less than you, it's their one moment to take the frame. That's all they're doing. It's nothing other than that. It's nothing other than that at all. So people begin to hate the Bible because other freaks come in and they use it to shame you. But then you may have never even read the Bible, which specifically says not to do that. So it's funny how that works, right? That's the main point. But it's funny how that works. So basically you don't want a spiritual bypass. You will sometimes, but it's not the goal. So what I'm telling you is, what intimate relationships are you creating? Okay, are you threading into your ego? My ego. Look at these comments about me. I'm so cool. Look at who reacted well to me, who looked at me at the club. Ah, yeah. This person liked me. That person didn't like me. I hate them. They're stupid. Right? Like that. Then it's like, I'm hot. I'm too hot. God, I'm so hot. I'm cold. I'm just so cold. Oh, I'm aroused. I'm hungry. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm all of these feelings that I have. Okay? And again, these are things that are good to have, knowing what your body wants. Likewise, your ego can be a healthy thing because it shows you how to harmonize with society or be a leader in society. But those should be an indicator light, not what you identify with it. Say the word indicator light.
Indicator light.
Not identification.
Not identification.
Okay, so your ego is strongest. Don't try to get rid of your ego. Your ego is strongest as an indicator light. Think of it like the base level software on a laptop or the base level software on a smartphone or something like that. The ego's put there because if you're too lazy to curate your own operating system, it'll give you a default one. Does that make sense? The ego's there to basically focus your mind on specific things that you may need if you are too lazy to curate your own operating system. So it's there as a baseline. It's not that functional, but hey, it'll get you from point A to point B, kind of. Unfortunately, when other people who are a little higher level know how that operating system works, they can pull you like a puppet. So you're kind of vulnerable. It's kind of like a virus taking over an old operating system. But it's better than nothing. It's better than being born as a vegetable. So it gets you somewhere, okay? But it's really on you to curate that. Now, as we continue, right? So the mind tends to intimately thread into my ego, what did people say? Or it threads into physical feelings of the body, intelligence of the body, or it threads into social conditioning. Oh, I pipe back the thing I'm supposed to say. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Did I signal the right virtue of the day that I never actually thought of or don't own at all? But I signaled it back, right? I remember I would go see the Lakers games, right? I started watching Kobe. I became a big fan of Kobe. And I'd see people in the Lakers stadium and they'd go, Boston sucks. Boston sucks. Now, I'm a little bit silly. I'm Mr. Self-Help Junkie. In reality, saying Boston sucks is all good fun. It's part of a rivalry. Don't get me wrong. That's not lost to me. But I'm watching Boston, and that was the championship winning Boston Celtics. I'm like, I don't think Boston sucks, guys. This team is amazing. This is a great game. So that's how I felt. Now, to be fair, it's almost like full circle. Like, realistically, you should be able to just go, Boston sucks, have a little bit of fun. Like, you don't need to turn everything into like a self-help seminar. Like, well, actually, guys, Boston is a championship-winning team, and you're just all the Matrix. You don't have to. You could just shut up and just say Boston sucks, okay? But there's still another element that is there that I bet you a lot of people there really do believe Boston sucks, and they're just saying it because everybody else is saying it. That was like what dawned on me at the time. So you want to be getting out of like the need to be stuck in groupthink. Why is that? Because the enemy of, keep in mind, I'm dropping a big one here, so please pay attention. Please, please, please pay attention. If we are addicted to groupthink and the approval of groupthink, our mind will only allow us to have thoughts within the bandwidth of accepted groupthink. It will only allow us to have thoughts within that bandwidth. We're not able to think outside of that. So our creativity is very limited. In order to be able to think outside of the very, very narrow band of groupthink, we either have to have massive confidence in ourselves that we're just like so confident and so well established in the tribe that we're not going to get in trouble, or we have to have a spiritual relationship that we believe there's an essence beyond the body, and so if we get killed, it doesn't matter. But that's the only two ways that you're ever going to get out of that limited thinking. As long as you believe that you're unsafe, as long as you believe that you're in a threat, it's unfortunate, like people that are just weak, like just people that either don't have spiritual grounding or people that are weak are not usually able to vote, to cast a healthy vote that is actually a better vote, because they will always, or in most cases, vote out of fear. So the politician that panders to fear more is going to get the votes. The politician that panders to conventional thinking is going to get the votes. The politician who shows great vision is not going to be able to get the votes, because if the average person is still weak, if the average person doesn't have a spiritual connection, it's harder to vote in the right government. That is why in the future, the way of the future for democracy is going to be not just to be focusing just on making yourself strong, but first making yourself strong, and then the ultimate vision of being in a country is helping other people to become strong, because they're the people that are going to be voting in your government. So it's in your selfish interest to make yourself strong and then to help to make other people strong, because if you don't, then they'll vote in governments that put in fear-based policies, and we've seen this after 2020. It's terrifying, and democracy can collapse on its own way to that point. So the next steps have to be all that beautiful creativity that's come out of Western civilization. That's the next level that we have to go to. That is what my children will have the responsibility upon them to get us to that level. You will have that responsibility. Your children will have that responsibility. So I want you thinking a little bit bigger, but then think bigger and about a broader future, but then bring it back to, how do I grow my business? How do I make $100 more? How do I make $1,000 more? How do I get a little bit better socially? How do I get a bit more energy? Just start building it gradually now. Don't think too far ahead, because if you think too far ahead, you don't focus on what's in front of you. So you know the bigger vision, but you also have to just think of what's in front of you there too, okay? Now, let's keep going. So lateral thinking. You get into an intimate relationship with your status dynamic of your brain. Your brain only lets you think within a bandwidth of what you perceive your status as. Okay, you're like, well, I'm only like a 7 in status. I have to wear 7 status clothes. I have to talk like I'm a 7 in status. I have to think like I'm a 7 in status. Your brain will keep going back to whatever number you think you're at, right? That's sort of a superficial thing, a number, but it's just short form, you get my point. Another thing is also addictions. So you get addicted on certain emotions, like you're addicted to feeling sad, you're addicted to feeling happy, and your brain is being brought back to that. You want to keep creating an intimate relationship with you as the witnessing consciousness, which means the essence, the spirit, the soul. Keep connecting to that. How do you find that? It's the silent awareness. Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle talks about it. Bible talks about it. Learn from that. Also, keep connecting into joy for the process itself. Each millisecond and millisecond of a millisecond of a millisecond of a millisecond of a millisecond ad infinity, that is its own goal. In other words, why are you waiting for the win to be later? The win could be the next millisecond. What if the next millisecond was the win? What if the next millisecond was the win? Would you look how you look now in your face if the next millisecond was the win? Would you look now how you look in your face if the next millisecond was the win? Would you? If you knew you had 1 millisecond to live, how would you look? If you knew right now that this exact life was a videotape on replay again and again and again, you're going to have to relive this second for infinity, how would you look now? Put the value into the next millisecond. Take the same value in the next millisecond as in the larger goal. Don't wait. Have an urgency to live in a way you'd want to live in the next millisecond. Okay, you got to warp your brain around a little bit here, out of the conditioning. Get out of the conditioning. Get out of how you see other people acting. What if everybody was acting how I'm saying? Well, there's a place that has that. It's called a rave, but they're on drugs. So, but what if, or you can meet my son Tristan. He basically is like that all the time. He's like 24/7 in a euphoric state. So Okay, that kid doesn't know what planet he's on. He's literally just like that. His pupils, it's like shooting out. It's like a miracle. It's crazy. The more that you are threading into that core essence that you have, okay? How do you detect your core essence? You want to think of that like when you get out of the social conditioning, when you get out of, not get out of it. You have to be still in it. Social conditioning is a good thing. Why is it good?
Allows us to collaborate.
It allows you to relate with other people where there's stable data.
You can learn from past data.
Learning from past experience, learning from mentors. It can be good. So we don't want to get out of social conditioning. What is social conditioning meant to be, though? We gave the word before? Indicator light. Say that word. Indicator. Don't identify with it, though. Say the word don't identify.
Don't identify.
So what happens, like you'll meet people on the street completely identified in groupthink. Like it's like talking to a zombie, and they're beautiful souls that have been entrapped. They have value. Everybody has value. Don't take what I'm saying like, well, they don't have value then. They have value. They, I believe, deserve liberation. So, they have the most value of anything. But we need to liberate them, but we have to first liberate ourselves. Make yourself strong first. Liberate yourself first. So you have them kind of stuck in this sort of groupthink, and they'll be like, no, but it's like this. Right? And a lot of it's programming from the elites and things like that. Just like that. They fully believe what they're doing. They have no clue what's running them. They think what they're doing is good and positive. They're completely mind identified. So you want to get it to where if you want to think laterally, you have to get out of these narrow bandwidths of your psychological addictions, your status addictions, your egoic addictions, addictions to the body. Again, if you're hungry, that's an indicator light. That's a good thing. But you have to be able to get past that. You'll notice that when you do things like cold plunge, Russian banya, super hot saunas, meditation, anything that deprives you of food for the ego or even for the body or for any of that stuff that I mentioned, you get ultra present. That is where the essence is. Then what you do is you learn to stabilize that. You learn to, because you'll feel it, right? Like you'll come out, say you go to Russian banya, you'll go in the super hot sauna, and it's like fairly uncomfortable, but it's kind of sustained, like a sustained discomfort. And say you stay in there for like 3 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, depending on the temperature. You're sweating, you're like, it's kind of uncomfortable, but you stay with it. You kind of like ride with that, right? Then you jump right in the cold plunge. Russian body, I'm addicted. I go like 5 days a week if I can. Okay, jump in the cold plunge, right? You come in, that's super cold, right? What'll happen is you get crazy present. You're like, because the only place to hide in that much discomfort is getting present. It's in surrender. It's in release. Say the word surrender.
Surrender.
Release.
Release.
Say the word release muscle.
Release muscle.
Surrender muscle.
Surrender muscle.
So you go in there, and then you basically just stick in there, and what happens is you feel where that is, and then you stabilize that. So when you see me doing public speaking, right now, I've done public speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my 7th day in a row doing public speaking. I've been running big events all over the East Coast. This is 7 days in a row, right? So, my body, like if you look at my hands, they're shaking a little bit. My body's gradually gonna run out of gas because at some point the temple does need to be replenished. But overall, when you're operating from your essence, you will find you have way more sustained energy because what happens is that you're not fighting over the resistance, right? So say I'm gonna go do public speaking and my ego needs validation from the crowd. What's that doing? Burning energy, burning mental capital. Say that I'm, stuck in social conditioning. All that I can think of the whole time is, am I repeating the right social conditioning? And I'm not just speaking from the soul. That's burning down energy. Say you go to a bar or club, right? And you're putting on a persona when you talk to somebody. That burns energy. Say that you're judging yourself after. That burns energy. So I am saving mental capital. I am stingy with mental and energetic capital by just speaking from the core essence. I'll come in and out of it a little bit, and I'll feel it when I do. I know when I'm present. I know when there's outflow. I know when I'm getting frenetic. I know when I feel like I want something from the crowd. And as that's happening, I'll feel myself coming in and out of it. I just keep going, breathing through it and release. I can tell in my voice a little bit too, right? In the voice, you can feel when there's constrictions, approval, status. Oh, this is too loud, too much. I'm not at this status. That's not me. You can feel it. Oh, I'm being judged. That's not me. So if I feel my voice, like if I go like that, I can feel how much I'm speaking from a core essence-centered place and how much I'm speaking for approval. I can feel that in the volume. The mic won't catch that. You guys can hear it in the room. okay? My voice is beginning to crack a little bit, 7 days into speaking and travel, but I'm doing pretty good for somebody 7 days in. My 7-day in version, probably a lot higher than a lot of people that are, in 1 day, but I still have my limits. Like you have your limits, and we build your limit, and you can build your body up to take the impact, okay? So it's a mix between your body and essence. Now, from that same standpoint, once you can begin to feel where that is in your body, you can begin to stabilize that, and you can act through that. So you want to think of it like, and Eckhart Tolle talks about this, it's like the ocean. Most people are identified with the little waves on the top. Oh, that's where the action is. That's where the action is. That's where the action is in the wave. You want to identify with the stillness underneath. Okay? And then you can kind of move the waves from that stillness. You're still aware of the waves, but you want to be in that stillness. As you do this, as you get older, what's going to happen is you're going to lose physical stamina. You're going to get old. You're going to get run down. You're going to lose vitality, but you're going to be more in release because you're closer to your death. So that is what Eckhart Tolle would call the flowering of consciousness. As you approach death, knowing that the end is near, it becomes easier not to be entrapped in ego, not to be entrapped in the social conditioning. You're closer to your death. Ray Dalio would be an example of somebody who knows he's, there's fewer days ahead of him than behind him. It's easier for him to do a book like Principles now than it would have been back in the day. So, we tend to be attracted to books like My Last Words Before I Die. Like we always want to know what someone's last words were, right? Because we know that they got nothing to BS anymore. Nothing to lie about anymore. What they finally say. Well, start that now. View it like your last words are now. In the space-time continuum, today versus 40 years from now, not as different as you'd think. That's a blink. You're already in your last words now. That's why they say death awareness is one of the main keys. Okay, so we made this about lateral thinking. Okay, now this here, first of all, was an exercise in lateral thinking. Just this level of thinking is past where a normal person thinks. You see where I'm going with this? Now, personal growth in general is coming from a standpoint that you're showing something at a high paradigm to someone who's not at that paradigm. So are any of you hearing this now and feeling like some interesting reactions to it, or the way that it's landing, or do you feel like you're blocking it out and you're like, I don't care about this, just show me how to make $100 more? Like, what are you feeling? Speak out now. Tell me a couple examples of what you're feeling. There's no right or wrong answer.
Catching the energy.
What's that?
Catching the energy.
Catching the energy. What are some other things you guys are feeling? Great.
Changing my perspective of how I view things.
Expanding your mind. What else?
I've never thought about it this way.
Never seen it thought about this way. What else?
It's revealing an underlying reality that I want to look away from.
Yes, and by the way, everyone, in my personal opinion, people are fooled, and they're all trying to keep the foolery going to each other. It's like, don't look at it, don't look at the reality, don't look at the reality. Haha, I'm in my suit, I have a 401k, I have 401k, oh, that person died. Let's manicure their body to look like it's still alive, and then what we'll do is we'll, have this little funeral thing, like we're not even gonna look at the real dead body, things like that. Like, it's just keep it away. Oh, look, the steak is in the little plastic wrap at Whole Foods, and this wasn't an animal that was slaughtered. I eat steak. I'm just making the point, right? There's even something like watching the animal that you eat die would be more respectful to that animal if you're going to do it anyway. You'd think about it differently, wouldn't you? So it's one of these things where it's we try to hide from this. We try to hide from the larger reality of what we're doing here, and we all are codependent in the drug addiction of spiritual bondage. If you don't have this down, then what happens is you're being run. And so what will happen is, because you're being run by something that isn't you, you will have the wrong target that you're going for. So you'll invest, it's like you're digging down a tunnel, and you're digging and digging and digging, and then you dig down for, 40 years. And then 40 years deep, what do you find at the bottom of the tunnel? Do you find the treasure? No, it's like this joke. It's like this joker that's like, ha ha, wrong tunnel, fool. And you're like, 40 years. And then you walk back up. So in effect, what happens is that this is incredibly abstract what we're going to explain here. Focus closely. Imagine an animal, right? An animal has predators. An animal has a threat from other predators, right? Animal also has a threat from competitors. What's the difference between a predator and a competitor? Yeah, competitor starves them. A predator eats them, right? Okay, what's the other threat? Predator, competitor, what else?
The environment.
Environment can kill them, yep.
Yeah.
And what else?
Their prey runs out.
Rot. Supply too, yeah. Rot. Cancer.
Yeah.
Festering rot, thank you. Festering rot. Cancer. Disease. So basically what can happen is you can get predatory energy in your psyche. Okay, predatory energy in your psyche. So if, for example, were you at the free event this week?
No.
Okay, so I was showing examples of how that works. But basically what it is that, have you ever been talking to somebody where you just feel they're just very off base? They're not seeing things clearly?
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Once a week at least, minimum. More.
all the time.
Does it maybe sometimes feel like it's almost everybody?
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah, so what it is that there's something running them. You're being run by something. And what can happen is that you get it to where there's a sort of a flywheel effect in the mind, where here's what the ego will do. Let me give an example. The ego will say, okay, it basically becomes like a parasitic flywheel on top of your brain. Think of it like that, okay? And so what it does is it's like, I'm a small little me. I'm against everybody. So then what it does is someone's nice to you, but it warps your perception to think they're being mean. Then what happens is that you see a multi-million-dollar opportunity in front of you, but it warps your perception to believe you're being manipulated. Okay, have you guys ever seen it to where I post, like, say, a video that is so amazing, like something so amazing, and in your mind you're like, thank you, Owen, for doing this. Let's say it's not even me. And then you look at the comments and someone's like, this sucks! You ever seen that? And you're like, amazing, this sucks. And you're like, what is it? Like, part of that could be simpler explanations, like just they're just in a different place of life. But part of it is there's something in them that's a parasite that's like, wait a minute, that could be the solution. Then I would die. It's like a vampire from the cross, or a vampire from, garlic or whatever. It's afraid to die. So when that parasite starts running your brain, now you go out to a club, and if you just would chill out and relax and go talk to somebody, your life would get better. But it's like, no, can't do that, because then my life would be too awesome. So in life, there's usually 5 or 10 things that are gonna make your life awesome. It's not a million. But what you do is you ruin your life by focusing on a million things. It's a million things you're focusing on. TikTok, social media, this person said this, I'm cold, what about this? Let's think about this. What did this person say? How do I look? Millions of things. What if you just dumb that down to 5 things? And that'll be our next exercise, by the way. What if you just chose 5 things? And those things, and here's the key to everything, they're not feeding some little parasite in your brain. Okay, so I remember when I first began to realize this, I was at a Denny's late at night, and I walk into this, I guess it was the wrong part of the Denny's, and the waiter's like, you gotta get out of here. And I'm like, it's Denny's, it's 24 hours. And he's like, get out, we're closed. And I'm like, sir, it's Denny's, it's 24 hours. He's like, we're closed. And I'm like, sir, is what you're saying is that this part of Denny's is closed? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so what happened, sir, was I just went to the wrong part of the Denny's. I'm gonna go to that part. I'm like, I'm your friend, man, I'm your friend. And he's like, like that, right? Because his mind is warping his discernment to making him feel like he has an enemy. Yeah. He needs to feel like he has an enemy. It's warping, he's lost his discernment. He's also lost access to his own will. He's also lost access to independently generated transcendent states or flow states. So repeat this after me. Access to your true will.
Access to your true will.
Access to your true discernment.
Access to your true discernment.
Access to true flow.
Access to true flow.
Okay, so that's how you want to be thinking of it, is that what is your will? What is your discernment? What is your independent access to flow? What happens is that if this goes in a flywheel where you're connected to what you truly want, then you're connected to true discernment, and then you're connected to flow state independently, what's going to happen? This is very advanced, but if you can get it, it'll change your life. If you can get this one thing your whole life, it's from this exact second, it's a rebirth from this exact second, but you have to get it. And if you can't get it, then I can't help you. Okay?
Parasites.
Yes, think about it. What happens? Like that. You don't need anything else to get, it's a flywheel effect. You don't need anything else to get a flow state. You don't need it. You have independent access to flow. Now when you're, okay, my son Tristan, if you see him, is always acting within his will. He's doing what he wants. You will see this in his pupil. This also, again, this could fly over your head. Please pay attention. If you look at my son Tristan in his pupil, he's categorically looks different than all of you. And by the way, looks different from me, and he frankly looks better than all of us. Right in his eyes. Look at his eyes. They're clear. He is completely connected to what he wants. Completely and utterly connected to what he wants. So every time that he's connected to what he wants, he does it, and he feels this true, deep win. right? When he's playing, that next millisecond is the thing. That next millisecond is the thing. No billionaire can buy the experience that he has. The experience that my son Tristan has as a kid is worth more than any amount of money that anything can buy. There's nothing that you can buy that's worth more than that. So keep fighting for that state, not just the money. The money just keeps your body alive long enough to experience that state. Another key thing there. You got that? What'd I just say?
The money just gives you like more time to experience it.
That state. Yeah, because that state is actually the money. That state is the money. People forget that. They're putting the cart before the horse. And then they chase the money and then it creates the parasite. Right? Like stress from work, business competitors, I'm scared, gotta get work. You know, it's making that loop. Okay? So we're getting back to baseline. Okay? We're getting back to authenticity. So what happens is that you're knocking down wins through your will. Then what happens is that you have your own discernment because you're not covered with parasites, which means that now you're getting closer to your will. And then what happens is that you're tapped into independent flow state. A lot of people cannot access a transcendent state without external input like drugs, alcohol, validation, winning, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that you've reversed the black hole and you've got it to now where you're tapped in and you're moving through your will and you're moving through your discernment, which means that you're making better decisions. And then what happens is all the crap that you're distracted with just falls off. You're like, it's like a Charlie Brown. You know, you're feeling that, right? Then what winds up happening is that as that's falling off, then you only want to focus on like 10 things. You're like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to build this. I love you. I'm happy. And let's freaking celebrate, right? And that's all you think about. And that becomes a loop. How much of your life is spent thinking about crap? Doesn't make you happy. If it makes you happy, that's amazing. But doesn't make you happy, doesn't educate you, isn't taking you anywhere. How much of your mental capital is being burned on that? So you're basically right now running with weights on. You're like running and running. That's why everyone looks tired. Almost everyone looks miserable. Almost everyone's spaced out. They're all derpy. Almost all derpy. I'm saying everyone. It's not everyone. It's a lot of people, right? So what winds up happening is you reclaim energy. Now look, put this in a business context. When you have that amount of energy, how's somebody going to compete with you? When you have that amount of clear thinking, how is somebody going to compete with you? When you have that amount of lateral thinking and can think outside the box, how's anybody going to compete with you? You're now in the Tom Brady zone, the LeBron zone. You're just tapped in. And the more that pressure increases, the better that you do. You're clutch, you're fearless, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm trying to show you a window into elite level performance. But even when I'm saying elite level performance, I'm just doing that to appeal to the parasite in your head. Because actually the state itself is actually one of the main rewards, probably higher than the elite level performance. Okay? But right now, you're seeing it within the element of like the input side. Okay? So I want you now to basically jump in your groups for a sec, and I want you to start talking about what are like the 5 things that you actually care about and what it would look like to just cut out everything, right? Classic examples of socializing. How much noise is in your head when you're out there socializing? What if you just said, next person I'm going to meet, have fun, joke around, so on and so forth. You just had like 5 thoughts. Just do this. Simple, easy. Don't worry about how you looked. Don't worry what they thought, except to be, win-win with them and don't do anything psycho. But you know my point, right? Just focus on the good stuff. So that's what I want you guys to think about. What would happen if you disburdened yourself of all this weight? And what are the 5 things that you would focus on? What are the 5 or 10 things that you would purely focus on from a practical standpoint? Any questions before this exercise? No? You understand the exercise?
Yeah.
You understand the exercise?
Yes.
Anybody else?
I would just say like it can literally be anything.
Well, think of it this way, right?
Positive or
Like,
goals. What?
if you look at your life, how much of it is that great? At a certain point, you're like, this isn't really that good. And you have to actually connect your pain around that. You're like, when's it start? Like, when's living start? Like, okay, I'm ready to start now. Can we start? No, I'm building towards this life. What are you building towards? Life's now. When's it start? It starts right now. If life starts now, what is the subjective state that you'd want to live in, which is what we described in great detail here as an example, but also, what would you want out of life? What do you actually want? If you go out, what do you actually want? What does your perfect night look like? Have you ever envisioned your perfect night out? How you'd act, who you'd be, what you'd focus on, what you'd do. Have you ever envisioned your perfect day? Have you ever envisioned your perfect state? Have you had somebody hold that up to you? Have you ever pictured what it looks like to be disburdened by the weight that you keep on yourself? Have you ever had somebody hold that up to you? So begin to start thinking what that looks like. Remember the last exercise that we did? It was looking at the trajectory of your life now, right? Like what you're doing now is going to get you to where you want to go. So we're going a little bit deeper here into subjective nature of it and to what's running you. So we kind of looked at it from a more practical aspect before. Now we're going a little bit deeper beneath the surface here, okay?